Hey everybody, and welcome to the first of what is probably going to be a series of standard deck techs on this channel, gathering information. I have just gotten back into standard, and I decided to sleeve up a deck that I thought of the concept of overnight and got together in an hour. I took it to I took it to Sunday Standard last week, and went 2-2, and I felt like I could have gone 4-0 if I had had a little better luck on the draws. Of course, I'm sure that's what my opponents who lost to me thought too, so I'm just going to crack this open and show you the approach of the second sun. So to start off with, we have two fan bearers. I like the card a lot. I think it does good work. 4 Authority of the Consuls. Now, to be clear, this deck was not supposed to be a top-tier good deck. This was supposed to be a deck that caused my opponents to laugh out loud and then lose. And that's basically what happened. So I'm going to call that a win. Have 2 Fortified Ramparts, 2 Forsake the Worldlies, and 4 Renewed Faiths. Now, the Forsake the Worldlies and the Renewed Faiths are basically there to be cycled away, because all I really need in this deck is card draw, and white is not known for its card draw. So having cycling gain life meant that I could stay alive while the aggressive decks were trying to hit me. My main removal suite, 4 cast out main board, also cycled, and 4 quarantine field main board. This card is amazing, and I honestly don't know why it didn't see more play. Well, I do know why. Not only is it too expensive and a little bit slow, it also just there were cheaper options at the time, but very strong right now. Then I had, this was sort of why I built the deck in the first place, Protection of the Hekma. This is, again, not a good card, but it is hilarious when you get 2 of them down. I had an opponent laugh hysterically when he realized that all of his 1-1s and 2-2s basically couldn't do any damage to me. He's running 4 of those. For Aketra's Attendants, these cycle for 2 mana, and you can cast them out of the graveyard with Embalm. And this is basically the alternate win condition of the deck, because 3/3 flyers will end games when you manage to stall out. And then 2 Angel of Sanctions. This should be 4 Angel of Sanctions, but all I could find is 2. This is also a really good alternate win condition, and doubles as more removal. Finally, we have 4 copies of Approach of the Second Sun, and 1 of Providence. You may reveal this card from your opening hand. If you do, at the beginning of your first upkeep, your life total becomes 26. And you cast it for 7, your life total becomes 26. It did keep me alive in a game long enough to draw my second Approach. 4 of Approach of the Second Sun means that I can always have 1, possibly 2, in by the time I can cast it, and that's quite good. Also, in the sideboard, I had a 3rd Fortified Ramparts, 2 Gideon's Interventions, 2 Fumigates, 4 stasis snares in case I needed that much more hard removal, 2 fragmentize, 2 dusk till dawns, and 2 consulate crackdowns. Originally, I was running a Felidar Sovereign in the main deck when I only had 1 Angel of Sanctions, because I thought, hey, what the heck, a 4/6 Vigilance lifelink would probably come in handy. But as soon as I got that second Angel, he went out. Now, this deck is pretty good against control, and because you don't have to resolve 2 of these, you only have to cast 2 of these. And having 4 in the deck means that that's going to happen in any long game. It's also fairly good against aggro, because Fortified Ramparts is a really good blocker, even against those mid-range aggressive starts. A lot of the Grim Flayers and things like that, they have 4 power and can't quite get through this by the time I get a cast out or a quarantine field out, especially when I'm cycling with all of my extra mana and gaining life. This deck is pretty sweet. It's mono-white, which means it's consistent in the mana. I was usually casting 2 things a turn, or cycling 4 things a turn to get to my approach, and I'm really looking forward to taking this to Sunday Standard again tomorrow, and then to Games Day, but I'm going to make a few changes. I have, I don't know, concerns about the fact that it is so slow. Basically, I'm drawing into my 7 mana 1 turn at a time, so I can't possibly win before turn 8, and that's in the best of all worlds. So we're going to add 4 of Hedron Archive. This was a suggestion from our good friend Laura, also from this channel, and 4 of Thraben Inspector. These will make clues when it enters the battlefield, which will help me draw cards, and they'll do just as much good in chump blocking and keeping me alive as any of the other early blockers. They will die, but I found that the Fanbearer, I was only ever really tapping things down in a longboard stall, and the Hedron Archives and the clues from the Thraben Inspectors will help me to avoid that. So, gonna make some quick adjustments to the deck. Authority of the Consuls worked, sort of, but it's not worth the spot in the deck. I might try to keep 2 in the main and not bother sideboarding the other 2. Fortified Ramparts are still probably fine. Renewed Faith and Forsake the Worldly are both good. Sorry about that, friends. Had a little hiccup with the camera. So, where was I? Thraben Inspectors in the deck. Forsake the Worldly I like because I'm seeing a lot of goofy things like Approach the Second Sun decks running around, and so New Perspectives is an enchantment without which that deck can't win. Cast outs I like, Quarantine Fields I still like, Aketra's Attendants I still like, Protection of the Hekma. This is the whole purpose for this deck. Well, really Approach is, but it's just fun, but not a good card. So I'm going to take all 4 of those out. Also, Providence is not quite good enough for even this goofy strategy. So, what am I replacing those with? I have 3 of Hedron Archives, And honestly, 3 Approach of the Second Sun is probably good enough. If you're going to draw 1, you're almost as likely to draw 2 on 3 of them in the deck as 4 of them in the deck, and it does replace itself when you cast it, so that's probably fine. Let's count the deck. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 32, 34. Okay, so what do we add? Fumigate was absolutely amazing every time I boarded it in, and I began to wish that it was main deck, so bringing 2 of those in. What does that bring us up to? 36?
36.
36?
Something like that.
2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 14, 16, 18, 20, 22, 24, 26, 28, 32, 4, 6, 36. And 1 more Fortified Rampart from the board into the main. 37 cards, 23 land, might make some minor adjustments again after tomorrow, but this is the deck that I'm going to try. I am keeping Gideon's Intervention in the board for now. I'm keeping Stasis Snares in the board, keeping Fragmentizes, keeping Dusk Till Dawns, keeping Consulate Crackdowns. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. I'm going to add another pair of Fumigates to the sideboard. 13, 14. And need a 15th card in the sideboard. If only I had another Angel of Sanctions. Well, I think I'll add a Hedron Archive to the board in case I find I want 4 of. If you have any suggestions for this deck, or any suggestions for the sideboard, please let me know. I did consider running Lost Legacy and a bunch of black lands just to hose other decks of this type, but with the amount of good, solid removal that I have here, I think this is going to be fine. I know that there are some bad cards in the deck, and that's kind of the point. I love running bad cards and winning with them, because I hate so much losing to bad cards. I guess I'm a little sadistic in that way. Anyway, this looks totally fun. Maybe I'll add 2 more Forsake the Worldly if I see a lot that it would hit running around. But for now, I think Consulate Crackdown is going to be strong against any artifacts list that I see running around. And yeah, so that's the deck. I'll let you know how it goes. Thanks for watching.